This video is about recursion. During functional programming, there is no concept of for loop or while loop. Instead, recursion is used. Recursion is a process in which a function calls itself, and the corresponding function is called a recursive function. Let's imagine that we have a problem that we're trying to solve through recursion concept. The solution to the base case or this problem is expressed in terms of smaller problems. And you may ask yourself, what is base case? To put it simply, the base case or base condition can be considered as a condition that tells the compiler or the interpreter to exit from the function. Examples of such problems are Towers of Hanoi, in-order, pre-order, post-order, tree traversals, DFS of graph, and so on. So to explain recursion better, I'm going to give you an example by Towers of Hanoi. Towers of Hanoi is a puzzle where we have 3 roads and n disks. The objective of the puzzle is to move the entire stack to another road respecting the following rules. Rule number 1, only one disk can be moved at a time. Rule number 2, each move consists of taking the upper disk from one of the stacks and placing it on top of another stack. And the last rule, number 3, no disk may be placed on top of smaller disk. Let's see how we can solve this puzzle in Python. As we said, we have n number of disks. So this is the n number of disks, and we have 3 roads. So road A, which is the origin, road B, the auxiliary or the intermediate place, and road C, which is the destination. And let us create a simple function that moves a disk from one place to another. We will call that function move, and it will take 2 parameters or inputs, the origin and destination. So it will take the origin and the destination. Okay. And what it will do, we will print that move disk from 2. And we will format that for the O and D. And that's it. Now we will invoke the move function, and we will say from A, we want to move from road A or the origin to road C, which is the destination. Okay, so now let's go ahead and execute that file. Okay, so move disk from A to C. It's not well formatted, so we'll play that again. Okay, move disk from A to C. So this is a function that moves the disk from origin to destination. Let's comment this line out, and let's check how we can move one disk from origin to destination, but through the auxiliary road or the intermediary here. So we'll move from A to C, but through B. Okay, so let's do that. Now we will have another function, we will call it move through, and this will take the point of origin, the auxiliary, and the destination. And here we want to move, let me show you on the picture. So we want to move from the origin to the auxiliary, then from the auxiliary to the destination. So we will say move, which is this function that we have created. We will invoke it inside the move through function. Okay, so we will say from O to A, and also from the auxiliary to the destination. So this is what we have said, from moving from O to A, or from A to B, and from B to C. Okay, good. Let's now invoke that function, move through, and we will pass here A, then B, then C. So we want to move from A to B, then from B to C, which are those two lines, 14 and 15. Okay, so let's get back to our shell. Great, so move disk from point A to point B, then move disk from point B to point C. So far we didn't use any recursion. This is just a function called move and another function called move through, and we have used that move function inside the move through function. So here's the question, can we call a function within itself? For example, let me just comment this line out. Let's create a function called func, and it takes parameter of n, and then it's called within itself, so func n. Okay. Now let's put func and put any number, 10 for example, and let's try to execute this program. We have an error. It's a recursion error. So what happened here is the function was calling itself too many times so that the stack could not handle anymore, and then the program crashed. So this is really not a very useful example of recursion. Now what I want to do is I want to use the recursion, or calling a function within itself, to solve the Towers of Hanoi puzzle. So the problem here comes from that I cannot move the 3 disks together from A to C directly. So we can always subtract 1 disk from the n disks. Now what we will do is we will take the n disks minus 1 and we will move it from the origin, or the point A, to the auxiliary using the destination. Then we will move O, which is the origin, to destination. Then we will use n minus 1 from the auxiliary, from here, from this point, to the destination through the origin. So it might sound complicated, but this is how you can solve it, and I will show you at the end in an interactive website how to do it. So now let's go ahead and create a new function. We will call it TO Hanoi, and it will take n disks, origin, auxiliary, and destination. Then let's say that we want to call the Towers of Hanoi, then the n, or the number of disks, minus 1. Then we said that we want to move from the origin using the destination to the auxiliary, which is point B. Then I will move from the origin to the destination. Here I'm moving the red one, or the bigger one, from origin to destination. Then I'm calling the Towers of Hanoi function again to use n minus 1 from the auxiliary using the origin to put it in the final destination. Okay, now let's invoke that function, and we have 3 disks, which is the n. The origin is point A, the auxiliary, which is point B, and the destination, which is point C. And let's get back to our shell, python main.py. We have another recursion error because it continued to subtract minus 1, minus 1, minus 1 until the stack was full, and again the program crashed. So what we can do to solve this problem is we want to check if the n is 0, then we won't do anything. So if there is no disk, we won't do anything. So you can say if n is equal to 0, then we will pass, we won't do anything, else we will execute these lines. Okay, so let's play that one more time. Fantastic, it seems to be working. So we have here a manual, you can call it, how to move the 3 disks from point A to point C. Okay, so on the right side we have this beautiful website called mathisfun.com. You can check it out. It has a lot of great simplified concepts in mathematics. And we have here this puzzle. And now we can try to execute what our program is suggesting us to do. So let's move disk from point A to C. So we'll take from A to C, then from A to B, then from C to B, then from A to C, okay, then from B to A, then from B to C, and from A to C. Fantastic, well done. We have successfully solved the Towers of Hanoi puzzle using recursion concept in Python programming language.